Guys, we were at PAX, and while we're there, we did some stuff, but the most important thing was Sam's hat game
has evolved.
Evolved big time. Nicey!
The best hat we could ever find.
That's right.
Apart from Star Wars Battlefront 2, this is the hat. Let me just say, it's quite a nice hat, actually.
What did you say?
It really is quite crispy.
It is.
Very, very nice.
And someone at PAX actually also gave us a Breakpoint
which
hat.
will be probably shown tomorrow.
Absolute legend. That
Absolute
guy was
legends.
just the nicest bloke in the world. Anyway, we had a good time at PAX. That's why we haven't been uploading for the last 2 days.
Yes.
We do have some content coming. Some of it's pretty cool. You might enjoy it.
Yes.
Look forward to that in the next few days.
Yes.
But we wanted to get back in the studio to discuss the ongoing Blizzard saga. We usually don't do a Sunday upload, but we will get out of bed in the morning for you guys on a Sunday
for the views.
When the memes for the views.
For the views,
when the
everybody.
memes are good enough, and sure enough, there's sure to be some memes here. So guys, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the latest in the ongoing Blizzard drama. Here comes the drop.
So guys, everyone knows the backstory, but the people that do not know what's been going on, ultimately a guy called Blizz won a Hearthstone tournament. Then he went out in his post-game discussion with two commentators making some pro-Hong Kong slogans about free Hong Kong and whatnot.
Revolution of our time.
China #1!
Now the two commentators were actually fired from that, and Blizz lost all his winnings and was banned for an entire year. A lot of backlash since then, and now it leads us pretty much to this point.
Well, no, I do think there was like a whole bunch of other stuff.
I mean, sure.
That took place there. We kind of skipped over, but we did cover that in previous videos.
No one cared who I was till I put on the mask.
What we want to do in this video is just cover some of the major stuff that's happened in the last sort of day and a half, and that does culminate in a response from Blizzard and a response from Blizz. We will get to those things as well. But first, let's talk about the fact that one of the assistant coaches of an esports team called Fuel, he was actually instructed to delete one of his tweets that was critical of the situation and in support of Hong Kong.
Ouch.
Dallas Fuel assistant coach Justin Jane Conroy said Wednesday that he was directed to delete a tweet that was critical of punishment levied by Activision Blizzard on a Hearthstone player who voiced his support for Hong Kong's pro-democracy protest movement. Jane, in his since deleted tweet, said he recognizes Blizzard's right to enforce its rules before condemning the censorship and severity of consequences. So that's that. That tweet has since been deleted because he's not allowed to say what he thinks in this world.
There's one thing that never fails. A nice glass of warm milk, a little nap, and a total frontal lobotomy.
It's not so bad, Homer. They go into your nose and they let you keep the piece of brain they cut out. Look. Ooh, hello. Hello there.
That's how it goes these days, obviously.
I thought they really wouldn't do that anymore. I felt like they knew that any kind of censorship within internally or like esports, like it would be another news story. Like, why would they do that?
Yes.
But of course, they need to give Laymen news. They need to do that.
Riot Games actually also issued a statement themselves with their Worlds tournament happening at the moment. They were very sensitive to this sort of stuff. And they basically said, guys, let's keep it focused on the game. We don't want any political discussion. That's not what this is about. That obviously met with mixed reaction, given the fact that Tencent owns 100% of Riot Games, so it's a very unsurprising stance for them. This is obviously in stark contrast to, say, Tim Sweeney's response, who Epic Games is 49% owned by Tencent, I believe. And he's like, we will never silence people with their political views. They can say whatever they like. While I am controlling shareholder and CEO, people can always say what they think.
As we said in previous episodes, that's a marketing strat, people.
It is a marketing strat.
It's not gonna hang around. We know what Tim Sweeney's like. Okay, if he was losing serious dollars, he wouldn't be saying that. Okay.
Well, that's what a lot of people do say as well.
Yes.
So either way, it is disappointing to see that people are trying to shut down discussion on this front. It makes sense that you say we want to keep it focused on the games. I get that.
Sure.
But at the same time, a lot of people really read Riot's response or Riot's statement as a bit of a warning, like, hey guys, we've made it quite clear this is what we think. Don't go against that during the tournament. And I think at this point, like, this is is an exceptional circumstance we're in. And I don't necessarily know that Riot making this statement is particularly helpful. I'd much rather see them making a statement similar to Epic Games' statement of like, hey man, you can say whatever you like. Like that, I think is much more appealing.
Sure.
I think that most people aren't going to want to talk about the Hong Kong stuff because it's not close to them or whatever else. But the people that do feel that way can say what they feel, and I think that's important.
I think it's the long game in terms of like, of course, at any esports tournament in many games, we might see more conversations or protests about Hong Kong than we usually would.
Yeah.
In 6 months' time, maybe things will settle down, and then those platforms won't be used for such political means. But at this moment now, I don't think any company should really be coming out and like fitting in the same camp as what Blizzard's done, because they just open themselves up for news article and YouTube video after YouTube video, because it's clearly not the right side of history that you want to be on and in this moment,
Yeah, I think people need to get this out of their system. Like, we need to know that it is okay to say some stuff. Get some stuff off our chest. If people want to stand up on a platform and use that and say things, then they can do that because they know they have the right to do that. And obviously people aren't going to do that every single chance they get for all eternity, but like, people need to know they have that chance now when we're having this discussion.
Sure. Anyway, let's continue.
So the next news story is that AU, the team that held up that sign saying Free Hong Kong during the Hearthstone Collegiate Tournament, Blizzard has decided to not penalize them at all, which is obviously really, really inconsistent. Inconsistent with their previous approach, where they literally just like destroyed 3 people's careers.
Sure.
AU, being the absolute bosses that they are, just said, screw you, Blizzard. We are going to forfeit the rest of the games because it's not fair that we are not punished for what we did and Blitzchung is. So that's like, well played, sirs.
AU also is it means Australia to some people, AU. So I'm just going to like jump in there. It's the same thing, really.
Credit. Yeah, nice.
Same thing, really.
So obviously this is a very admirable move from these guys. I really respect this position, and it's absolutely the right play, I think. They made a very strong signal to everyone that it's not okay for Blizzard to be so inconsistent, and that was that. While this is all bubbling along, everyone was still waiting for Blizzard's response. Vice put up an article saying that they were speaking to Blizzard staff who were commenting that the silence internally was deafening, that it was so long before we heard from Blizzard. Like 5 days more?
I mean, I'm surprised. I mean, I knew that we were going to take a while for externally in terms of telling us what's going on, but it sounds like internally also there was just no direction. There was no clear understanding of what was really the core message going forward within the actual staff. So, I mean, can you imagine working in a company where like the whole world is like burning you to the ground right now and no one's actually really from higher up talking to you about what they want to be kind of moving forward with or what the message is now or whatever? It would be so confusing,
This obviously did culminate in a response from Blizzard, which was released yesterday while we were at PAX, so we didn't get to cover it. Now, we're not going to cover all of the detail in this response here because it's quite lengthy, and I think a lot of other people have already covered it. But the general gist of it is, look, we understand that everyone has a right to free speech. That is one of our core values, apparently. And they're like, listen, we just want to make it really clear, and this is a true thing that Blizzard actually said, that their relationship with China did not influence their decision at all as regards to BlizzCon. I mean... Who do they think would buy that? Like, who do they think would actually believe that? That is the most mind-blowing component of this entire thing. They do go on to say later on that they are actually adjusting the punishments. So Blitzchung is going to get his winnings back, and he'll be banned for only 6 months. And the commentators are also going to be banned for only a small period.
Even still, 6 months is far too long.
I think it's still far too long.
Look,
definitely.
I mean, I'm not really happy with this response because everyone, it reeks of just like, oh, China, we still love you, please.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, if they were to come back and be like, look, we're only going to ban him for 3 games or something, like 6 months is a hell of a long time still.
Yeah.
And to only give him, they're only giving his money back because of this backlash. It's not because they've had some moral, revelation.
Yeah.
It's just so transparent and so gross to see that they're like trying to appease both markets now instead of actually taking a real stance on what I think, and I think a lot of other people think, is the right thing, where, yeah, sure, a very tiny ban, give the money back, but make it clear to your core audience in the Western market that, like, you know that you fucked up. But this
Yeah.
whole article is pretty much dancing around like the actual whole Shayna question. They only actually do it once.
Nice
They
dancing.
Yeah, you like that? They only actually really hit it once with this whole like, oh, it has nothing to do with the whole China thing.
That really, for me, just completely takes the legs out from underneath this entire statement. To suggest that their actions had nothing to do with China is so laughably ridiculous. Like, it's just insert Joker laugh here. Like, just insert it right here, ladies and gentlemen. So no one's buying it. This response has been met with massive derision. Everyone is just laughing out loud at the ridiculousness of this thing. But also, people are quite upset that Blitzchung is still banned for 6 months, which feels very heavy-handed.
It still does.
Blitzchung actually responded to this just a few hours ago, and here is what he said. Many people have been asking me if I accept the latest decision of Blizzard. I will discuss that in 2 parts. Tournament pricing and suspension. For tournament pricing, I quoted what Blizzard said on the official website. They mentioned that I played fair in the tournament and they believe I should receive my pricing. That is the part I really appreciate. Blizzard also said they understand for some, this is not about the prize, but perhaps for others it is disrespectful to even discuss it. People from Blizzard had explained this to me through a phone call and I really appreciate that and I accept their decision on this part. For the second part about the suspension, Blizzard had changed their suspension on me from a year to 6 months. Once again, I appreciate for their reconsideration on this. To be honest, I think 6 months is still quite a lot to me, but I also being told that I can continue to compete in the Hearthstone Pro Circuit, which they mean the Grandmaster tournament. I appreciate this decision they made because Grandmaster is currently the highest level tournament in competitive Hearthstone. However, I wish Blizzard can reconsider about their penalty of the 2 casters involved. The 2 casters are also being banned for 6 months as opposed to a lifelong ban.
Yeah, it's interesting because like I don't actually know exactly what he means by that in terms of like, so he can't be part of the Grandmaster tournament, or he can be. He can only do the Hearthstone Pro Circuit. It's hard to. I mean, maybe it's like a language thing where they've transposed that, but it's hard to really know exactly what he means, what he can and cannot do within that 6 months period.
Yeah, I agree. That is confusing. Overall, though, I think this is a pretty classy statement in the sense that he is very focused on the game. He wasn't like trying to sort of berate Blizzard and kind of like whatever else. He just really focused on the fact that he gets to play, and he did very graciously talk about the fact that the punishment of the casters seems quite severe as well, where they're still banned for 6 months. It's awesome to see him thinking about other people in this situation as well. So he's obviously a pretty good dude.
I think Blitzchung is definitely like the mascot of this whole movement right now. Of course, I mean it's the guy that it all happened to start this movement within Blizzard. So it's good to see that he's also really staying quite classy. He's not going out there and doing vicious attacks against Blizzard. He's really wanting to structure his arguments against or his response to that in a way that is really just getting his point across. It's not about trying to like attack individuals or attack Blizzard in general, and I think that'll actually just strengthen his position.
I think so too. But obviously, people are not.
I knew this would happen.
People are not as zen as Blitzchung is when it comes to their responses. Kotaku are reporting today that protests are planned for BlizzCon, which is insane. Can we just take a moment to step back? How nuts is it that there are going to be organized protesters outside BlizzCon picketing BlizzCon? That's nuts. Kotaku says multiple groups are in the process of organizing protests set to take place outside BlizzCon, the annual convention held by game developer Blizzard, in response to its suspension of a Hearthstone player for expressing support for Hong Kong during a live event. Digital rights non-profit organization Fight for the Future launched a website and Discord to kick off its organizing efforts, and a protest BlizzCon subreddit is gaining serious steam as well.
Wow. Can you imagine if the thing is, you can get in, right? You have to pay a small fee.
Yeah, but I don't know if tickets are already sold out. They usually be sold out.
Sure. I was going to say maybe that was going to be the whole other thing. They're going to have people inside BlizzCon. They're trying to run events. They're trying to show the latest Overwatch stuff or the new Diablo stuff, and a good portion of the audience is just completely derailing. A live event that's on live stream and stuff.
And I feel like you wouldn't necessarily want the event derailed, but you would want people to be able to say their piece.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you still want to be able to hear what's going on in the world of Overwatch because people want to hear about that. But simultaneously, you don't want like no Q&A sessions, which is, I think, a legitimate concern. I really think Blizzard would shut that down because they think it's too risky to hold Q&A, and I think that would be such a shame.
It is a shame. I mean, it's a live streamed event, so coming from a business perspective, I understand why they might want to like shut that down. It would be super disappointing if they did that. Don't get me wrong, I'm not condoning it, but at the same time, like I would not be surprised if they're like, look, Q&A guys is going to be out, or it's going to be very hand-picked in terms of like, you know, we have to know exactly what your question is. We have to like know your track record or something.
Yeah.
Even then, that's impossible to know. Like,
That's right.
Because that guy with the red shirt last year, he told them that he had a different question, got up and asked the April Fool's joke.
Nice.
So, you know, it'll be such an
I wonder if
interesting
he'll
Blizzard.
make a return. Wouldn't it be so good if he like came
Oh
back?
my god,
He's
amount of
wearing a
people-
red shirt with like the hammer and sickle on it. You know what I mean?
There's gonna be people dressing up as the red guy, the red shirt guy this year.
definitely. It'll be Winnie the Pooh and red shirt
Oh
guy
my god,
everywhere.
and May, there's gonna
And
be
May
so
cosplay.
many Mays.
That's right. So, look, obviously this is going to be a really interesting event to watch. This is the first gaming event I can think of that is likely to see actual protests staged. Who knows how big it'll be? It might be like 6 people hanging out outside. It could be a couple
Area
of hundred
51 again.
people. It
It
could
could be
be
Area 51.
Naruto runners all over the place. You know,
Yeah.
we just don't know. Either way, this story continues to unfold. We will keep you updated with the latest. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Lots more stuff coming this week after our PAX trip. It was good fun.
It was fun.
And we'll show you the Breakpoint hat later.
Laymen out.